Good afternoon, my name is David Burton, and I would like to give you a quick walkthrough of my Capstone project. It is a language learning program that mimics the way that we naturally learn language the first time. My background is in curriculum development. I've been a teacher for the past 10 years and I'm transitioning into data science. One of the things that's always bothered me about learning a new language is that all of the programs and methods out there sort of contradict how you learn a language naturally, and a good way of doing it. And it was an epiphany moment when I realized that I could mimic that process by using the newly found data science skills. And there's a lot of data requisition and stuff in here, so it should work as a project, but you'll be the judge of that. And that's not the right page. Alright, so we're just going to do a quick walkthrough of the program itself, and then I'll get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening. Clear the cache. Get search functions. Alright, so when you're learning a new language, the most boring part about it is that you have to learn so many things that you don't really care about in the beginning stages. You need to have something that engages you, and this is going to decrease the amount of willpower it takes to follow through on learning a language, but it's also providing you with that intrinsic motivation, which is crucial to really thriving in any academic subject. So I was watching the news this morning, and 2019 Hong Kong, helps if I spell it right, Hong Kong protests. What I'm doing here is I'm translating that English phrase into Chinese, then it's searching the Wikipedia pages of China, and it's giving me search suggestions based off of that. And what I specifically want, it looks like right here, campaign against the draft amendment to the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance. Now, I wouldn't have put that into the search phrase in a million years if I hadn't been given that suggestion. All right, let's see if this works. I say let's set there's lack of confidence. All right, so I've typed in that exact search phrase in English. You can also do it in Hanzi, Mandarin, Chinese. I'm focusing on learning traditional Mandarin because I'll be traveling to Taiwan pretty soon, and that's the basis of theirs. All right, so what it does is it's going to search the Wikipedia pages in China, and it's going to return the results, compile it into a text file in order to save up on the memory a little bit. And it gives you an image from one of the pages. Now this is hit or miss, but this is obviously something's happening here. I cannot read Chinese yet, but I'm guessing it's something to do with the protests. So that's a good sign. It's searching the Wikipedia pages in China, but the problem with the Chinese Wikipedia pages is for a long time there were two Chinese Wikipedias. There was one in traditional and there was one in simplified. So even though I'm going to try to return a vocabulary list of 20 words, because I'll remove the redundancies, it will sometimes be less than 20. It's between 10 and 20 though, and that's an ideal amount for learning each day. All right, so we can see right here the list of words that is returned: demonstrator, Hong Kong, revision, protest, police, zhengyu, regulation, procession, motion, activity, draft, fugitive. You can see this whole list. What it's doing is I've used the Jieba module library to perform the text analysis of Chinese words. Jieba means to stutter in Mandarin, I was told, or I read. And it's going to be doing the IF-IDF and returning the weight of the words. It looks like, of course, demonstrator was the top one. And these are words that are highly likely to occur in a conversation if I was to spark a conversation with somebody about the demonstrations happening right now. And my goal is actually going to be to pull up some YouTube videos on the news in Mandarin that talk about this and use these words to try to decode and decipher the surrounding words. That's the way that we are built to learn a language. We shouldn't have to memorize lists of thousands upon thousands of words. You take a couple of keywords, you try your best to sound it out, even though you're going to sound ridiculous when you're trying at first. And then you're going to listen and build up context clues for surrounding words. You're going to take those words and play with them, make them your own. And eventually the pronunciation is going to be getting better, and the use of it is going to be getting better. A one-to-one translation doesn't work. That's not how people speak. The language is defined by the culture and the necessity of the people that speak that language. A phrase in English is not going to translate directly to Chinese. And by the way, when I say Chinese, I mean Mandarin, since that's the majority spoken language. All right. And the one I'm most interested in learning. All right, so we can see right here. I just rearranged it. The pinyin is, I've added in the pinyin to this, my own data set that I've created. This is a romanization of the Hanzi traditional Chinese characters. And I use the numbers, which no textbook teaching you Chinese is likely to use. They have marks, and you'll see that in a moment. I use the numbers because I was told that, and I don't know if this is true or not because I'm just a student just learning right now. I've been told that the tones are more significant, more crucial to understanding than the numbers are. Than the letters themselves. So if you say it in the right tone and everything surrounding it is okay, people are likely to figure it out. If you say it in the wrong tone, the letters are correct, people are just going to stare at you, more than likely. And so I took that bit of advice very seriously, and I'm focusing on the tones. And by the way, Mandarin has 4, some would argue 5 tones. And one word can have 4 different meanings. So it's crucial that you get the tone correct. And if I was studying this on my own, what I would do right now is I would try to pronounce these words. My own self-confidence, embarrassment is going to make it so I'm not going to do many of them. I'm just learning the language now. Also, it's worth mentioning, I'm combining another data set in here. There's cc-cedict. It is the largest, as far as I know, collaborative dictionary for Chinese languages to English definitions. I'm bringing in that dictionary and the definitions whenever one exists. It's not always going to exist. It's a constantly growing definition or a dictionary, but using the Google Translate API, I'm going to be able to translate all of the words, whereas there's going to be some gaps in the online cc-cedict. But look, it's way better. You can see the English column, and that's the Google API generated translation. English 2 is the cc-cedict, and I don't know if I need to say the cc before, the cedict definition. And what I really like about it is that sometimes they give you another word that you should search as well. Like to gather, assemble, meeting. And it's close to meaning. See how close to this word. So if I wanted to gi, I should look up that word to build it even farther. I have a column with the weight of the word, which is the importance for the topic. If you were carrying on a conversation about it, the likelihood of this word occurring is around here, and in any given sentence, well, line. Traditional characters, simplified. Sometimes it's going to exist, sometimes it's not. There's always going to be a traditional. Pinyin with the marks, this is the way you'll see it in any sort of language learning books, or if you're walking around and there's a romanization of a Chinese word on signs. They do that a lot of times so that tourists can have a chance of reading it. And then my way of doing it with the numbers. It's not strictly my way. Some people prefer it. I'm one of those people. All right. After you do that, it's important. I also have the 1,000 most frequent words in all of the Chinese language, all Mandarin. Now, these words are not going to pop up in here. They're all included in my stop words. So they're not going to pop up, but at the same time, they're important that you eventually learn them. Now, you don't have to have them all memorized before you start learning. You don't need to know 1,000 words before you get into something fun. And that's the basis of this entire program. You need to be able to do something fun within a couple hours of getting up and running in a new language. And I know for the first lesson when I used this, I used it on watching Ip Man. And I turned watching a movie into a language lesson. Also, you're going to take just 2 of these words. 2 new words is all that you need to study right now. I'm returning 5 because I'm using the sample part, so there's a good chance that you're going to get some repeat words if you do it a couple times, but if you run it on the sample of 5 a few times, you'll get the correct word. And I didn't want it to be too regimented in which words it pulled out, so I wanted to keep a bit of randomness to it. All right, so I start off each session by actually watching a YouTube video on the tones. So I just put the link in there to remind myself to watch it and make sure that I get the tones correct. I'm not going to do it for you right now, but basically the tones are the first ones. E is like wah, wah, 1, it's straight. There, I guess, and it's still playing. Okay. Now let's keep going. Gives my 5 words. We pull up our definitions, word lists that I need to study if I have any chance of learning the language from the context of the conversation that I want to hear. I'm putting it into an order that I would like. You can change this around. I actually really love keeping it in a Jupyter notebook. I started building a dashboard for it, and it's just not as customizable. I'm sure that if I spent quite a while building a larger application, I could get as much functionality. But what happens is that if you're searching for a more obscure thing, then you need to use sometimes fewer Wikipedia pages. So I only wanted to use 2 with this one. But if I was going for a broad topic, like say a country or something like that, I would want to return 10, 20 Wikipedia pages on that topic, compile them, and get the word list from there. The more specific you are, the more Wikipedia pages you're going to want to return. And it just takes a lot of fine-tuning, where Jupyter Notebook is set up beautifully to do that. So you can see right now, I'm going through my list, and it will give me the word, the pronunciation in my ear, the Chinese writing, the romanization. If I was to practice this and actually do it, I would turn on the sleep timer. I would be printed out with the word. I would try to say this word, and then I would hear it and see how close I got. And then I got to the next word, and the next word, and the next word. And then I've even done it where I record myself, and I get down here to the a specific word that I know that I'm butchering when I'm trying to pronounce it. What's an example? I could butcher all of these. Demonstrator. I have no chance of pronouncing this word correctly. Sh. I never know if it's sh or she or. It's going to take some time to get used to it. And then it gets through here, and then my add-on is getting a Anki deck that I build up from here.